Hey, beautiful souls, beautiful sunshine here with DR Holistic Healer, aka Sonya B. This content is not a prophetic message, but I will, however, still be offering the prophetic messages on my channel, as well as the intuitive message, as well as the intuitive downloads that I receive throughout the daytime as well too. So I'm just adding a new content, and this content is called Reiki Time with Sonya B. So let me explain to you really quick. Years ago, when I first learned about Reiki, I'm just going to give you a quick glimpse of where I'm at right now. Years ago, I learned about Reiki, and I thought to myself, I was like, oh my God, it's like, is this real? You know, I to myself couldn't believe that it was real. But let me explain to you really quick. God Source Spirit had gave me this dream way before I had even became Reiki certified. God was showing me my past life, and he was showing me my past life as a healer. And I was standing there in my dream, I was standing there like somebody had came to me for healing, and I absolutely didn't even know what that meant at the time. So I remember the dream, and then I remember once I remember the dream. And then I remember I had actually went to this particular store that has like a lot of metaphysical stuff in their books, you know, crystals and so on and so on. Well, this one particular book had ran across my path, and it was called I think it was Healing Touch or something like that. And it was something similar to Reiki, but I still didn't even know what that meant at the time. So it just so happened that I picked up that book at the store. It's like it was standing out at me at the store. So I picked it up. I kind of glanced through it, and then I picked it up. So as I picked up the book, I brought it home. I read it, and I was like, wow, this stuff is real. I was like, really? And, you know, just reading through that whole book, I remember I bought that book in either June or July. I think June or July. I want to say probably like July sometime. And let's just say by the time August hit, I was already done with the book. And I had went through the book. I read the book, and, you know, and I was just like, wow, interesting, you know. And at that point in time, I guess I still really wasn't I'm not going to say I wasn't a believer, but I was just like, wow, this can happen, because I saw the results in the book. Well, this is divine spirit of light having me on a path, and I absolutely did not know that where I was being led to. I just went with the program, went with the flow, and it just led me from one place to another place to another place. So lo and behold, I was being divinely guided to go do yoga. So as I started doing yoga, now, need I remind you, I'd already purchased the book. I read through the book. So it's like God was leading me on to the next adventure. So, and then he was leading me on to go do yoga. So I found this particular studio that I had been kind of bypassing for like years, you know, especially where I live at. You know, it was on my route to Costco, should I say. So I've seen the studio several times, and it just so happened one particular day, something just said, go in there. So when I went in there, I saw the lady sitting at the front desk. She was a little standoffish, but I understand why now, because I understand how energy works. and her herself was an empath at the time as well too. And I guess her thing was, oh God, I don't need nobody else coming in here who has unbalanced emotions, because, you know, you pick up on that stuff and you feel that stuff from other people. So I say all that to say I was divinely guided to go there. So I went there, and it just so happened that I started doing yoga there. And I decided to do yoga there just as a trial base. And then, you know, I decided to do yoga there for probably maybe about 2 months, 3 months or something like that. And anyway, so at the time, I couldn't necessarily afford the yoga classes after I paid for the trial session. So I did do a trial session that I had pretty much paid for. But then after that, you know, I just kind of worked something out, you know, with the owner, because she had like this program called a karma program. I'm thinking, I was like, oh, no, I don't want to be under nobody's contracts, and I don't want to owe anybody anything. So what had happened to me was I basically told her I don't want to sign the contract, because it was, like I said, it was a karma program. And it's basically you get to do yoga for free, but you also have to give back your time. And that was fair. It was balanced, you know, but I wasn't going to do it according to her terms, in a sense. And I say that to say because I don't like being under people's contracts. But anyway, so it was something that she had to sign off on. So I told her, I said, well, you know, well, here's what I can do. And I said, only if you're willing. And I told her, because I noticed that there were times that she would show up late for her own business, she would show up late and have people standing outside her front door. So one particular day, God Soul Spirit had basically told me, I feel like he was dropping in my spirit, and I told her, because as a way to give back, by this time my session was almost up, because I think I paid for a week or either 2 weeks, and then after that I was just like, okay, I can't afford this anymore. But anyway, and this is when my life, if for those of you who do not know, this is when my life was already turned upside down anyway. So God just had me, just learning new things and sending me different places and sending me on a mission anyway. So I say all that to say that basically what had happened was I had came to her and I told her, I said, hey, I can open up if you feel comfortable with me opening up, for you or whatever. Because you got to realize, for those of you who do know, I also had a background where me and my mom actually had a child care center, and I would open up in the mornings, and she would pretty much close in the afternoon, because just being there 12 hours a day was just a bit too much. So I would open, she would close. So I was used to opening, and so on and so on. And with all that being said, so I was accustomed to getting in early and leaving early, because that's just how I like it. So anyway, so I told her, I said, basically, if you want, because I noticed that you run late sometimes, if you want, I can open up for you and get everything set up for you. So I think a couple of days had went past, and I guess she thought about it. I didn't say anything else to her, because I felt like she didn't really know me. This was probably after the first week I was there, but I think she trusted me enough, but she was really trying to fill me out at the same time, if she could trust me. Basically listen to her intuition, and I don't blame her, because I would have to. But anyway, so after a week or so, she had basically told me that yeah, I'm gonna get you a key, so that you can. I said you hadn't said anything, so I just assumed that maybe you forgot about it or whatever, but it was no pressure. So she told me she was gonna get a key, and she did end up giving me a key the next day or whatever the case may be. So I would open up her yoga studios for her, and pretty much open up the studio, get everything ready, kind of like in place, like a prep, in other words. But I was just doing this for free, because she was allowing me to do yoga for free. But anyway, so with all that being said, I basically lit the candles, and just lit the candles, and kind of position stuff out. It wasn't really a whole lot to do, but I was just basically there to welcome new people in at the front desk or whatever, until she came in. And need I remind, she probably came in like 10 minutes after me or whatever the case may be. But I always prepare, and I got there a little early. So I was probably there like 30 minutes ahead of my time, because I don't want to feel like I'm rushing, doing this, rushing and doing that. But anyway, so with all that being said, so she allowed me to, basically open up her yoga studio for her. And in exchange, I was doing yoga for free. So I say all that to say, as time went on, as I was at this yoga studio, I noticed that there was a sign up there that said that they did different, they had these different sessions where they had like a third eye opening, a group that was considered to be like a third eye opening, where a lot of people gathered, and it's like a group. Anyway, so I say all that to say, I noticed that she had some different activities up on her board, and I was like, interesting. So I was like, what is that? So I went to a couple of her events that she had, very, very eye-opening, and I say all that to say, when I went to the third eye opening, I was very amazed at what I saw, and that's what I was being open to, my spiritual gifts, because I was just going with the flow. I wasn't restricting myself. I wasn't holding myself back. I was just going with the flow. So I say all that to say, when one of the groups that I went to, I actually saw somebody shape shift in front of me. Another group that I had went to, I also saw another young lady. This was a totally different group. We had to pair up and get partners, and she had actually shape shift in front of me as well too. And it just so she shape shifted in front of me as well too. But these were two different events. One lady was older, one lady was a psychic medium, and I ended up getting paired with her just because I made one, I'm not going to say it was a mistake, because I thought it was a mistake at the time, by getting up to go to the bathroom before we started the session. And lo and behold, I was thinking to myself prior to going to the session, I was like, oh my God, I hope I don't get her, or she don't tell me anything about myself. Just out loud, in other words. because at that time I knew that I was my life was already turned upside down at that point. You know, me and my spouse had separated. So much was going on in my life. You know, I was being pulled away from family members and so on. It was just so much that was going on. And I guess it wasn't the fact that I was hiding it. The owner of the studio knew what I was going through, but other people there didn't necessarily know what I was going through. And I didn't want them to hear it through somebody else's mouth. I prefer people to hear it through me. You know, like I tell people around me, don't tell my story. Let me tell my own story, because only I had that experience of knowing what it was like. So, you know, sometimes people tell the story and they don't get it right. So anyway, with that being said, one of the sessions, I ended up getting a psychic medium, and I saw her shape shift in front of me. And I was like, wow, you know, it was just amazing. And, you know, she explained to me it was probably, you know, one of her ancestors coming through. And I say, well, the person looks just like you. So that alone was just amazing to me, period. But I don't want to be too long-winded, because I don't want to basically take the focus off what it is I'm trying to do here. But I'm just trying to show you guys like how it led to this point. But there was one other group that I had, one other session that I had, actually there was 3 sessions out of that particular studio that I had went to. 2 different sessions. I saw 2 different people shapeshift. The third session, I decided to try something that was called Reiki. She had something up on the board and it was called Reiki. I was like, Reiki? I was like, what is that? So I asked her, I said, what is that? And, you know, she kind of somewhat explained to me, but she didn't really explain to me. So I say all that to say, she was the first person who had actually done Reiki on me, a Reiki session. And she had did a Reiki session on me, and that opened me up to the Reiki energy even more. So I say all that to say, I then, after being open, after she provided me with a Reiki session, and I'm going to kind of explain to you in a minute. After she provided me with the Reiki session that opened me up to the Reiki energy. So after I was opened up to the Reiki energy, it's like I was very calm. I was very relaxed or whatever after the session. And then I started to notice. And then after that session, I saw that she was offering Reiki training classes up there. So it's just like she was offering these different things. So it was like little milestones. I was making steps and steps. And not that she was pressuring me about any of this. You know, I saw the events up on our board, and I decided to sign up for them. It's like Spirit was just like, go do this, go do that, try this, do that, do that. And it was leading me to where I am right now. So I say all that to say that basically I saw that she had Reiki teaching. So I saw the Reiki teacher. I was like, oh, I said, let me sign. I was like, well, let me sign up for this. But I asked her, you know, what is it in detail? She kind of somewhat explained or whatever the case may be. So I decided to sign up for it. And need I remind you, y'all, like money was so tight at that time. I was just like, at that point in time, I really didn't even have the extra money. I was putting money on my credit card. Not that I'm suggesting you guys to do stuff like this, but, you know, I felt like God was just leading me. It's almost like I had to invest in my spirituality. So, but I was also draining myself dry at the same time for his finances at the same time, because the finances had already kind of dried up as me and my spouse had already separated. But I say all that to say that, you know, God had provided. But anyway, so to basically get to the point, what I'm trying to say is, in so many words, that I signed up for the Reiki class and I did the first session of Reiki, and I was like, wow, okay. Then it started to make sense. It went back to the dream that Divine Spirit of Light had given me, and the dream was when I saw myself standing there, this man had came to me for healing, and I was standing there healing him, and I was remember holding his chest like this, kind of, you know, shaking him, one hand on the front, the other hand on the backside, and, you know, healing him. And I was like, wow. So I saw myself in 2 different cases, but nevertheless, in case some of you guys wonder, because I know from time to time, and even in this dream, and that explains a lot, for some particular reason, somewhere around about my early 20s, I started wearing hair wraps. I don't know why I was wearing them. I was just intrigued by them, especially when I saw Erykah Badu. I was like, oh my God, like I like that. Like I really like that. And I really felt it like all these years. So there will be times that you either see me wearing a headband, you'll see me wearing a head wrap. And that's just because a lot of that is embedded or imprinted in my soul and my spirit from past experiences and past lives. Well, I saw myself in a dream, you know, where I had like a scarf on my head or whatever the case may be, and I was in long clothing too as well too. So it wasn't like I was Muslim or anything like that, but it's just that that was just God revealing a past life to me. But anyway, so to sum it all up, once I became Reiki certified with the first Reiki, the first thing I said to myself, and I guess I kind of put that energy out in the air, and I said, oh my God, I was like, it's so, and once I, you know, went through the training and I read my manual and I had to practice and I had to, you know, just all the things that you have to do in order to kind of like feed the energy in a sense. You know, as I say, practice make perfect, or perfect practice make perfect, or whatever. But anyway, so it's not just receiving the energy. There are other things that you have to do along the way too. It's like put in the work. Excuse me. But I say all that to say, I told myself, I said, I don't even know why I said that, but at the moment I said, I want to make it a point to tell people about Reiki, especially people of color, you know, people who look like me. I said this to myself. I was like, oh my God, it's like, because it's almost like we are so blindsided to like other things, other healing modalities is what I'm hearing. Like, we absolutely have no idea where, you know, I know that, okay, Spirit, don't do this right now. So, because what I'm hearing right now, I'm sorry from Spirit, because I'm not sorry, I'm just delaying the message. What I'm hearing from Spirit right now is basically Spirit's telling me there's a scripture in the Bible that just talks about, you know, it's almost like we as people of color, and I don't want to make this about, you know, race or whatever, but this is what I'm hearing right now. We have been lost as a race. We have been trying to find ourselves. We didn't really know our history. You know, it's like everybody else seems to know our history but us, should I say, because it's almost like, you know, when you think, and I don't want to get into politics, but what I'm hearing is like, you know, with all the whitewashing and stuff, you know, to cover up history. And I remember there's a scripture in the Bible that talked about whitewashing so that we as the I'm gonna refer to it as Israelites, you know, that we wouldn't remember who we are in a sense. And a lot of us do not remember who we are. Well, I say all that to say it's leading up to this. I truly believe that this is part of our history and we really didn't even know it, should I say. But I told myself some time ago when I first became Reiki certified with the first Reiki, I said that I wanted to let people know. So here's my chance. God is like, okay, put up, let's go. It's basically, it's go time. In other words, like I told you the other day, the planetary shift, everything is in alignment. So it's go time. So again, I don't want to lose you guys, but I just basically wanted to give you that quick intro. But anyway, I'm going to use this platform as well to add this content to my channel. This is just an introduction of me kind of like going through various things talking about Reiki. So I really hope that you guys will visit the channel and be open to listening, as well as, you know, just learning some new content other than what we have already been I don't want to say program, but it's kind of coming through as program, what we've been programmed to learn, just learning something different and learning something new, in other words, that's outside of what we've may have learned before anyway. Just staying open to learning something new is what I'm hearing Spirit say. So basically, I just want to talk to you really quick. I got a couple of side notes because I didn't want to leave certain things out. So, you know, you will kind of see me glance here or there. So I just wanted to let you know that. But anyway, so first I want to talk about how was Reiki founded. Okay, so Reiki was first founded somewhere. There was 4 different types of Reiki, and it was somewhere around the World War II. And what had happened was there was 4 different styles of Reiki that was going on, but there was this one particular guy, and I'm just kind of narrowing it all down, y'all. This one guy who is called Dr. Yeshua, and Dr. Yeshua was basically he was practicing his own style. So he was one out of the 4 people who was practicing the different styles of Reiki. So I say all that to say that Dr. Yeshua, and this was happening somewhere around the 1920s or whatever, so somewhere around about that time frame. But anyway, so Dr. Yeshua, he actually owned a school in Japan, and Dr. Yeshua, he was He owned a school. He was a principal of a school in Japan. And not only that, but one day his students had challenged him and had asked him, basically, he asked him about the prophets, basically, who was kind of like in the Bible, or, you know, however you want to refer to it as. He asked about the prophets going around healing, if you think about it, like Jesus, when Jesus went around healing. So they basically challenged him. Well, they asked him a question, which he felt like he was being challenged at that point. So at that point, when he became challenged by his students, he kind of went out on a mission. So as he went out on this mission to find like an answer for his students, it's almost like, which is so funny, because it almost kind of like parallel to my story in a sense, like I was on a mission. Anyways, what just came to me. So anyway, so he became challenged by his students in regards to the biblical prophets, again, for their healing. And I guess just had questions about that. So at that point, Dr. Ushua decided, he, being the man that he was a dedicated man. So he wanted it. Somebody challenged him. They asked him a question. He wanted to find an answer. He went out on a quest. And as he went out on a quest, he decided to dedicate his life to figuring out the answer to basically his students' questions, should I say. So he was trying to find an answer along the way. And as he found the answer along the way, as he was trying to find an answer along the way, he did different things, kind of like what I just explained. He went here, he went there. So he first traveled to America. As he traveled to America, he went to the University of Chicago. As he went to the University of Chicago, where he basically had got a doctorate degree in theologic. Oh my God, like really right now? Theologic. Oh my God. Theologic. Oh my God. Forgive me, y'all. You know what I'm trying to say. I'm sorry. Sometimes my brain just have that moment. My brain has that moment. I'm sorry. That's the dyslexia being the crossfire. So please forgive me. Bear with me. You know what I'm trying to say though. In theology. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you for showing up. Anyway, I'm sorry. Bear with me. It happens. But anyway, so with that being said, after he went to the University of Chicago and he studied there, okay, he didn't find his answers there. So what he did was he ended up going back to Japan. And he basically, as he went back to Japan and he had arrived there, he ended up wanting to pretty much hang out at the Buddhist temple with the Buddhist monks. Actually the Buddhist monastery. And as he went to the Buddhist monastery, he was asking them questions about physical healing there. And most of, I guess, the people that he ran into, they must have told him that it was lost years ago, that healing modality was lost years ago. But what he didn't realize, because he was in search of it, he found what he was looking for. So, but anyway, with all that being said, and then after he went to the Buddhist monastery, he ended up at a Zen monastery where they had allowed him to study the sacred writing of Japanese sutras, and which is an ancient teaching, should I say, and it's Sanskrit, excuse me. Anyway, so with all that being said, Dr. Ushua, someone had actually told him that he should basically make a spiritual pilgrim. Oh my God, bear with me, y'all. You know what I'm trying to say? Pilgrim to the mountains where the Buddhist monks are, up in the mountains or whatever the case may be, where they meditate and they're up there for enlightenment. So I say all that to say, and they're not only up there for enlightenment, but they also trying to grow spiritually, should I say, as well too. So he went up there with them for 21 days. And as he went up there with them for 21 days, he basically, he thought by him being up there for 21 days that he was going to come into spiritual enlightenment. So what he did was he took 21 stones with him up there. And each day that the day passed by, he took a stone and he took a stone away. So that was just reminding him how many more days that he has left there. So with that being said, out of the 21 days of him being there, he started to become a little anxious because he wasn't finding the answers to the questions that he was looking for. So as time had went on, just as he was becoming to the point of being a little anxious, what happened was he ended up, let me make sure I'm saying this right. He ended up he ended up, as he was about to leave, he had ended up seeing this light in front of him, and the light was coming at him so fast to the point that it hit him on his forehead, should I say. Remember, that's where your third eye is. Anyway, the lightning had hit him so, and I'm not talking about the light, it just said a lightning, you know, just for my studies or whatever, anyway, or at least that's what they teach us in the Reiki study. But anyway, so a force of lightning had really came at him really fast and hit him in the middle of his forehead. Well, as it hit him in the middle of his forehead, it basically knocked him unconscious. And as he became unconscious, he had an out-of-body experience. Thank you, Spirit. He had an out-of-body experience. As he had an out-of-body experience, it's almost like he had discovered the different colors. He saw, as he was having his out-of-body experience, he was seeing the different colors. He was seeing these little bulbs of light, you know, little bulbs of light. And then when he came conscious, he was just so excited. So he found himself running down the mountaintop. And as he was running down the mountaintop, he stubbed his toe on the way down. And as he stubbed his toe on the way down, that, you know, we all know that when we stub our toe, that pain hurts. So he stubbed his toe on a rock as he was running down because he was so excited about what he just saw while he was unconscious. And just so a side note, you guys, I know this is like the second time that I've kind of hearing of a story of somebody, not even a second time, actually a third time. There was this one lady that I knew who she does angel readings or whatever, and she had in a situation where something happened with her in her head to the point that she was able to see angels. I know this is just a side note, but just bear with me. And then I also remember that reading Harriet Tubman's story. If you think about, you know, because she had a scar on her head, or somebody had threw a rock at her head. I forgot why they threw a rock at her. I don't know if it's because she was trying to escape, or she said no, something she didn't want to do, and she was rebelling. So somebody threw a rock at her head or whatever, and that allowed her to kind of like somewhat have what people will kind of call seizures today or whatever. But I say all that to say that basically Harriet Tubman, she had like seizures, but I guess her seizures were like blackout moments, in other words, where she blacked out at times. But as she blacked out, that's how she was better able to hear from God. That's how she was able to lead people out of slavery. So I say all that to say, and then I'm hearing, you know, Dr. Yushua's story about not just now hearing it, but his story is kind of similar, the same, you know, him being hit with a bolt of lightning, you know, to the point that it knocked him unconscious, and therefore he was like able to see, in other words, you know, see beyond the veils. But anyway, so as he stubbed his toe and he ran down the mountainside, basically he took his hands, because I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you, when he was seeing the different colors and when he was seeing the bulbs of light, he also saw the Reiki symbols that he had already seen previously from when he was at was it the Buddhist temple? I think it's at the Buddhist temple, where he had already saw that with the Sanskrits and the citrons, I'm sorry, with that ancient writing or whatever. Anyway, so with that being said, he had already saw those previous symbols, so that was just letting him know what was happening to him at that moment. So anyway, so as he stubbed his toe, and he was you know, we all stub our toe and we take and grab our toe like shh, you know, whatever, you know, as we grabbing our toe. So as he grabbed his toe and held his toe, basically the pain had went away. So what had happened was he basically had received a healing energy and the symbols to the Reiki, which is called Yeshua Reiki today, in regards to the healing energy that is associated with the Reiki symbols. And let me give you an example, y'all. This is one of the symbols. This is another symbol. And all of these different symbols, they represent something different. This one is like past life energy, dealing with past life. You know, so all of these have different symbols, and those symbols associate, you know, you use those symbols when it comes down to the part of the healing modality. Anyway, so with all that being said, this is where, let me finish. As he dashed his toe, he ran down the hill. Well, we already know he healed his toe, in other words, because once he became unconscious, he became Reiki. In other words, he carried the Reiki energy. So what Spirit is telling me right now, the bulbs of light was him being filled with God, source, spirit, the universe energy, because that's basically what Reiki is. Reiki is life force energy, and life force energy is in almost everything that is out in nature, you know, whether it be the people, the animals, the insects, the bugs, the trees, you know, the food, vegetables. And I don't mean all types of food. I mean food that are grown in a garden and stuff. All those things are filled with life force energy. So anyway, but as he ran off the mountain and he realized he healed his toe because he stubbed it, he ran down off the mountain to go get some food. So after he ran down off the mountain to go get some food, he ran into the shop owner's daughter. So she had actually had a toothache, and I guess she was complaining to him about her tooth was hurting as he was talking to her. So he took his two hands and put them on the side of her face, and then all of a sudden her toothache was gone. So I say all that to say, ladies and gentlemen, this was her pain was pretty much gone. But I just wanted to give you guys the background of the Reiki energy and how Reiki kind of works. But with this content, I'm going to be basically adding something new, probably like once a week to start off with, just depending on how much, you know, how much I'm seeing, whether the likes or sharing or even just making comments in the comment section. Because I don't want to feel like I'm wasting my energy if it's not going anywhere. But anyway, but I had basically said before, yes, so we're going to be talking about different contexts. I'm going to go over what the chakra system is. I'm going to talk about the aura, you know, our auras and how to keep those clean. And we're going to talk about the heron, which is our meridian in the center of our chakra system, and so on and so on. So we're going to kind of dive a little deep. So I hope you guys are open into listening and just learning something new with the information that I already have. I'm no pro at this, but I will say this. I'm no pro, but the information that I do know, I am sharing what I do know from my experience for the past 3.5 years. And it will be almost 3.5 years. But anyway, so I hope that information was helpful, and I will definitely get into the chakra system that you guys, I don't know if I probably said that before a couple of times. We'll get into the different chakra systems and what energies they carry, what energies they hold, and what things that you guys can do in order to, what I'm hearing Spirit say, in order to revitalize yourself. In other words, revitalize. Whatever that means to you, revitalize. But anyway, so I hope that was helpful. But again, this was an introduction, and look out for the content that says Reiki Time with Sonya B. So anyway, I hope that was helpful, just to kind of give you a little background. But Yeshua's story is very similar to my story, and I'm on this journey with just trying to share with my brothers and sisters of color, should I say, you know, so that we may know that there's not only one way, so that we may know that there's not only one way to do things, that there are other ways to do things. Okay, so that you may be the stewardship, is what I'm hearing Spirit say, of your own life, and you direct where you want your life to go and how you want it to go. And I hope that was helpful. So I hope I didn't talk to you guys too much, but I was trying to give you some important information. So hopefully you listen to this video all the way to the end, so that way that you can understand what it is that I'm doing or what I'm introducing. So that was just an introduction. So next time won't be like that. I just kind of wanted to give you the heads up of how it kind of led me to Reiki. Anyway, so with all that being said, I wish you all much love, much light, until the next Reiki Time with Sonya B. Bye.